Good morning. I'm Tim Schultz, the Director of the Center for Family Business at Cal State Fullerton. As folks are joining us, I wanted to first of all thank you for joining us. This is an interesting topic. Anytime there are changes in rules, it's helpful to know. Family businesses in particular are known for their charitable giving, and so we wanted to share some information about the charitable giving with you from a couple of experts that we have in our own local community. Before we get started, though, I'd like to share with you a little bit of information about the Center for Family Business. We have been around since 1995. We're part of the College of Business and Economics at Cal State Fullerton. We bring together family businesses for community, for learning, thought leadership, and mutual support as family businesses continue on their journeys of legacy and giving. And now, enough with the commercials. I want to get on to the substance of our program this morning. We have two great speakers who are very familiar with the charitable giving space. Margita Labhard, Senior Director of Philanthropic Strategy at Orange County Community Foundation, and Dan Whitaker, the Managing Partner for Whitaker CPAs and one of our sponsors. If you have questions throughout the presentation, please put them in the chat, and we will get to as many as we can during this session.
We thought it would be helpful to share several strategies for you to consider in both the near and the long term. And several of you may already be executing on some of these, some contemplating them, or some looking to be educated on them. So I thought I would take a stab at sharing a couple options. So first off, I'd like to start off with explaining what a donor-advised fund is. So we here at the Orange County Community Foundation offer donors, along with banks and other providers, something called a donor-advised fund. And what this is a philanthropic account per se. So whatever you contribute into that account has the sole purpose of going back out into the community, whether locally here in Orange County, nationally or internationally, as a charitable gift to any kind of cause or organization that you have an affinity with. The way it works is you make contributions in. When you make that contribution in, you receive a receipt that is your charitable tax deduction that you would share with Dan if he was your CPA. So you make that contribution, you receive the tax benefit at the time you give. Monies are put into investment accounts, so your charitable assets grow for the period of time that those assets are in. And then when you're ready, it could be immediate, it could be a year later, it could be more, then you start granting. So if you've made a contribution of $100,000 in and you have an unrestricted fund, you can grant to nonprofits that are of interest at any time that suit your needs. You can do this all year long, or you can be methodical about when you're making these gifts. Benefits to the individual or corporation that is establishing a DAF is, first, it allows you to make a contribution today, much like what Dan just mentioned. If you can accelerate your charitable gifts in 2025, you can then decide where you want to make those grants later. So it's a vehicle that affords you to make a tax deductible contribution to an account and then make your grants later. With organizations like the Orange County Community Foundation or other banks that offer DAFs, it's administratively run by that organization. So we here at the Orange County Community Foundation provide you receipts. We ensure all IRS guidelines and policies are met as it relates to the grants that you're making out back into the community. We also accept a wide variety of complex assets that we will talk about later, that we do accept on your behalf, and then we sell those assets and the proceeds go right back into your account. And they, as mentioned, are invested and grow over time. With highly appreciated assets, and we'll talk about this later also, it is the most lucrative asset to provide for a charitable gift because you can potentially eliminate your capital gain on the sale of that asset. So it's a very lucrative gift to make. And then depending upon who you partner with for a donor advised funds, organizations like the Orange County Community Foundation provide strategic support and partnerships so that we are with you each step of the way. There are some of you that might have a private foundation or are contemplating a private foundation compared to a donor advised fund. And while there are many differences, I wanted to highlight just a few. First off, it takes about 6 to 9 months to establish a private foundation, and it takes a day to establish a donor advised fund. As it relates to tax deductibility, Dan mentioned that you could give cash as an asset up to 60% of your adjusted gross income for a donor advised fund. But if you have a private foundation, that is limited at 30% of your adjusted gross income. And then if you do make a gift of an appreciated asset, so non-stock, non-cash gift, so it could be stock or any other security, you can deduct up to 30% of your adjusted gross income versus 20% for a private foundation. As it relates to philanthropic requirements of the IRS does require a 5% annual minimum payout. And what we've found here at the Orange County Community Foundation is that in some cases, private foundations that are looking for outsourced support set up a complementary donor advised fund so that they can receive the benefits of that philanthropic partner and provider, or put the 5% that they need to pay out every year into the donor advised fund and then ensure that that gift is made strategically when they're ready. Additional things, investment management. If you set up a donor advised fund, you'll have investment pools that you can make your contributions towards. If you have a foundation, you need to establish a board who oversees all those investments and governance activities. And last but not least, privacy. The donor advised fund is very private, unlike a private foundation. When you establish a private foundation, it becomes a 501c3 organization, and anybody can look up all the details of that 501c3 online because it is a public, essentially, document that's available. That cannot be the case with a donor advised fund. So I just wanted to highlight, we've seen a significant trend, both from estate attorneys, financial advisors, and even CPAs that are really suggesting people use a DAF because it's much more easy to administer and quicker to establish. When you set up a donor advised fund, all of these types of assets are accepted. In some cases with nonprofits, because many of us might donate directly to a nonprofit, if we do have a complex asset that is available, in many cases, nonprofits, if they're smaller, might not be able to handle or accept the contribution of something complex. So this is where we can come in and support much more complex scenarios. We work with our estate attorney and our legal counsel to make sure that your gifts can be received effectively. I wanted to make a parenthesis here. Complex assets are very important to contemplate in your whole portfolio of assets, because cash has no appreciation and all of these other assets do. So if you're in a position to donate something that's highly appreciated, you'll see the improvement in the elimination of the capital gain on the donation of that gift. So I'd like to share a complex asset scenario. This is a business exit scenario. For example, there is a donor that has a business that is worth $10 million. Their original basis was zero, so the capital gain is 10 million. As you see there, we have a 33.3 combined Fed and state tax. Without getting into too many details, I wanted to highlight we have three scenarios. The first scenario is that the donor is selling their business and they're not going to make a charitable gift. The second scenario is they make a charitable gift of $500,000, but after the sale of their business. And the third scenario is they make a charitable gift of $500,000 before the sale of their business. Bottom line, the total proceeds from both the sale of the business and the charitable gift you see down at the bottom. If there is no charitable gift, the donor or the seller has about a 6.67 profit from the sale of their business. Scenario 2, if they make the gift after the sale, it's 6.836. And if you make the gift, let's say to the Orange County Community Foundation before the sale, and we highly suggest that you plan for this and you do so well before the sale, not 30 days before necessarily, so you can be arm's length with the IRS, you would receive about a $7 million benefit from both the proceeds of the sale and the charitable gift. So the big message here is if you have a highly appreciated asset, whether it is your business or real estate, commercial, residential, etc., consider if there's part of that gift that you want to donate, and if so, when, because the financials turn out quite different depending upon the scenario. So definitely work with your professional advisors in contemplating that. So I'm going to hand it over to Dan just to highlight a few charitable actions that we might pursue in the very near term, given all of the tax changes that Dan mentioned early on as it relates to both individuals and corporations.
All right, thanks, Margita. So a couple of things here that I would highly recommend is seek advice from your CPAs or your tax advisors. They can really help you model what these donations look like to get the best deductions. And as you can see, there are rules changing coming 2026, so it's important that you get this right. My next piece of advice is that you would accelerate donations into 2025 to the extent that your modeling and your calculations show that that's the best option. And then another item that you might consider, if you're at retirement age and taking RMDs from your IRAs, you may consider gifting those RMDs directly to charity. We have clients that are doing this, and what happens when you gift your RMD directly to charity is your RMD does not become income to you. It just goes directly to charity. So it actually saves you money. It saves you tax dollars comparing that option to if you just had the RMD go directly to charity, that's going to be less tax dollars than if you take the RMD and accept it as income and give it to charity. So that's just another good option there for you. And then I'll hand it back to Margita, and she can take care of the rest of the bullet points here.
Great. So as noted before, insofar as you're able, donate your appreciated assets. So contemplate not just what you have in your checking account or savings account, but what other assets do you have across the board? Those appreciated assets will be quite beneficial to contemplate. And then also consider establishing a donor advised fund. We talked about some of the benefits. This has become an increasingly popular asset to establish, and one that is very easy to establish and use. And then for individuals and corporations that are not able to do some of the things that Dan mentioned, which is accelerating the donations before year end this year, again, continue to seek your advice from your advisors. They will help you model and contemplate the impact of your gifts and how to do so effectively, because your portfolio is very personalized. And insofar as you can in those high income years, whether you're getting bonuses or you have other assets that are coming in, consider bunching your philanthropic gifts into those high income years so that you can surpass the standard deduction and yield a greater tax benefit in the year that you choose to do so.
Well, thank you, Dan. Thank you, Margita, for this presentation. A lot of helpful information. And as if taxes weren't complicated enough, we just got another wrinkle there.